Today, the news is we are announcing with our partners that we've secured the funding for a preliminary feasibility study, a crucial step towards making passenger service a reality to northern Michigan. We began investigating this issue 5 years ago when a handful of people, about 24 people, took a pilot train from Cadillac to Traverse City. Special thanks to Great Lakes Central, who allowed us to use their train. A few of you were here, and we realized that this very well could be a possibility to expand that service all the way down to Ann Arbor. That initial ride began an outpouring of public interest around making this a reality. In 2011, a network of organizations in MDOT came together to conduct a series of forums around the state of Michigan to get public input on what Michiganders want to see for passenger rail. That was coordinated in part by the Michigan Association of Railroad Passengers. We have two representatives of MARP here today, John Langdon and Larry Krieg. Thanks for being here. And during that process around the state, in these statewide meetings across cities, the number one recommendation of public input was connections to Traverse City and Petoskey. That was the number one request from all the public input process. And that built momentum around this campaign. A little bit later, we had an event at the State Theater. I know a number of you were there to launch a campaign of outreach and education about what it's going to take to make this possible. We had 200 people show up on a cold winter night. Kim Pontius from the Traverse Area Association of Realtors was our keynote speaker and MC. Kim's here somewhere. He's been here on this issue from the very beginning. Thanks, Kim. And ever since that moment, the level of public interest and support we've received around the possibility of making this happen has been truly amazing. I mean, we are in the business of raising awareness and building public support, and I've never seen anything like this, the kind of interest that is coming from all walks of life, all over Michigan, to make this a reality. And why do we believe that this is an achievable goal? We're going to talk about this today. We have many speakers that can back this up. First of all, the tracks are in place, and they're currently operating a very viable freight business. This would provide a year-round travel option for Michigan to come up north and for up north to go downstate. And it's important for our statewide and regional economy. We're in a race to attract young talent, and young talent, college graduates, are looking for cities and communities where they can live without the need to have a car. They're looking for transportation options, and rail is one of them. The Rockefeller Foundation a couple years ago did a study and found that among the millennial population, 86% of them are choosing communities where they can have access to public transit, including rail. Also, you might think about the number of college students who are traveling along this corridor from Northwestern Michigan College to Central Michigan University to Alma College to University of Michigan. 90,000 college students are going to schools that are within walking distance of this rail line. So there are, of course, many steps along this process of making this a reality, but this study that we're announcing is the first stop in making it a reality. It's a preliminary study that will explore questions about the track conditions. It will discuss and investigate how much it will cost to get trains moving up to 50 to 60 miles an hour. Thank you, Jim. It'll look at the ridership and projected market for the use, and it will talk about operations and what systems would be developed to make it an operational system. The project team, which is a handful of us working in collaboration, we'll start the process soon of securing a consultant. We expect the kickoff of the study, the actual work, to be done this fall, and that the work will take approximately 8 to 10 months. So this will move pretty quick, and within a year or so, we should have outcomes of that feasibility study that specifically define next steps. The funding for this study, which costs $120,000, is through a mix of federal, state, and local sources. And it's exciting to have the local support. For the past year, my colleague Jim Brookbauer, he just brought this water up here, who's like at the center of this whole thing. Jim should definitely raise his hand. There he is, Jim. Give Jim a hand. he's been traveling up and down the corridor, meeting with the communities that have an interest in this project. And part of that conversation is requesting their financial support as local match to secure these federal funds. It wouldn't happen without local match to secure federal funds. And we're happy and proud that the City of Traverse City, Petoskey, Alma, and Washtenaw County all contributed matching funds, as did the Petoskey Visitors Bureau and Traverse City Tourism, and that other communities along this corridor, Cadillac, Kingsley, Howell, Owasso, have had nothing but positive interest in making this happen. Bob Jones is here from Cadillac, the former chamber director, another leader in that community who's interested in making this happen. Without those matching funds, this doesn't happen. I also want to recognize that our nonprofit work is funded by a handful of important funders, including Rotary Charities here in Traverse City, and Joe Leszewski's here. Thank you for being here, Joe. The Biederman Foundation and the Esperance Foundation. They're funding our outreach campaign to raise awareness and build public support. And we've been working on public transportation policy in Michigan for 21 years. That's how long this organization's been in business, and that's how long we've been focusing on trying to improve and support advancements in state policy around transit and rail. And back then, we were talking about this, but it seemed more like an idea than a plan, more of a possibility than a potential reality. But that's changed. In the last 10 years, Michigan has made expanding and improving our rail system a priority, and we've emerged as a leader in the country, as a Midwestern state that is making transit options a new economic priority for people and for the economy. And there's local people who've helped make that happen. Former State Senator Jason Allen's been a longtime champion of rail expansion in the state of Michigan and this project. Our two current reps, Senator Wayne Schmidt is here, a constant champion of this. Thank you for being here, Wayne. And Representative Larry Inman from our district has been nothing but supportive of this project and rail. Of course, you don't move something like this without the active partnership and collaboration of the Michigan Department of Transportation, and you'll get to hear from the MDOT director soon. But it's an institutional commitment that we found in MDOT. All the hardworking staff have been willing to help this move along. It takes a while. We've had, I don't know, like 57 meetings on this for a long time, but every time we engage with the MDOT staff, they're really working to push this forward. Patty O'Donnell's here from the Gaylord office, who's been around for a long time in this community doing this work. Thanks for being here, Patty. Lots of other MDOT staff have been a part of this. The director of the MDOT Rail office is Tim Hefner, who's really the man on helping us work this through. Tim's over here. Thank you for being here, Tim, and all the other MDOT people. But you know, there's a leadership role that helps MDOT apply itself at the various levels, and that comes from the director. And we're just thrilled that Kirk Steidel is here and has been a real champion of this project and lots of transportation initiatives here in our region for 10 years. We're lucky to have an MDOT director like Kirk Steidel. He's a visionary guy. He's the kind of guy who looks for the solution and not the obstacle. And that may sound like, you know, common sense, but it is a transformational form of leadership at an institution like MDOT. You know, every time we meet with Kirk Steidel, his answer is he's open-minded, he looks at the issue and tries to find a solution. And these are tough challenges that the MDOT director faces on a regular basis. It's a $4 billion budget that MDOT oversees, and it's 2,500 employees, and ultimately, Kirk Steidel, as the MDOT director, is responsible for the construction, maintenance, and operation of tens of thousands of miles of roads, bridges, and tracks in our state. So this is a significant partnership between our community, the business community, the local government community, the elected officials, the railroad company, and MDOT. And this is how this is going to happen, through partnership and collaboration and tons of public support. And I have no question that the kind of public support that we've created will create the kind of base of grassroots momentum to make this happen when the partnership and collaboration of government and nonprofit and local officials is as strong as it is. going off script here, but finally, I just want to remind you guys that this is part of a statewide movement towards better transportation in the state of Michigan. We're thrilled about today. I'm going to introduce you to a few people as we go. We have about 5 or 6 speakers, starting with our great MDOT director, Kirk Steidel.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thanks, Hans. You know, people hear the name MDOT, you immediately think of either a snowplow, a pothole, or an orange barrel, right? Except this crowd, you think of railroads. And while the biggest asset that we have in the state of Michigan, a transportation component, is the roads and bridges, the interstates, the freeway network, there's also a very vital link, and that's the railroad network. Now, railroads are mostly in the state of Michigan privately owned. This rail line from here all the way to Ann Arbor is owned actually by the state of Michigan. It's a long history. We won't go into how that happened. Actually, many of you here probably know that better anyways. But this rail line is under the state of Michigan's control. So we work with our freight railroad companies to try to continue to build business on the freight side, but it also presents a tremendous opportunity to look at passenger rail service. So as Hans said, through the rail study that we did a year ago, or 2011, sorry, time's flying. Passenger service to northern Michigan was identified as an issue that we really had a lot of support. We said, all right, we need to continue to move this forward. So Hans with James have said, hey, we're going to continue this. I'll give them a lot of credit. Meeting with all the communities, I know one of the first comments I had was, okay, we got to get a whole bunch of people involved because this is not a state initiative. We'll be there as a partner. But we need to have all those communities from here to Ann Arbor. Everybody's got to be engaged. Everybody's got to understand. Everybody has to have some skin in the game. So I was really pleased when they came back and said, here's the communities that are engaged. And you heard them from Hans. And most importantly, they said it's important for us. We're going to put money up for the local match. When people put money where their mouth is, then I know there's a real commitment. It's easy to stand up and say, yeah, I support that. Yeah, I support that, because it's harder to say I oppose that. It's much harder to say I support that, and politically in my community, I'm going to arrange to get the funds to do the local match. That's huge. So that brings us to today. So we're going to start the study. We're going to see, all right, is this possible, right? I remember that initial ride, Hans, from Cadillac up here, in places where the train had to go pretty slow. And if we were to get on the train today to go to Ann Arbor, it will be pretty slow. But as Hans said, it's there. The rails are there. It's a matter of how do you improve? How do you go forward? How do you make a viable service? And the study will tease all that out. And then after that, we'll figure out what's it going to cost to upgrade it, what's the cost to construction, what's the cost to operation, and then, the big then, how do we pay for that? This is the first step. So I'm really thrilled to be here today to start that dialogue. This is, what does it look like? You can't ever get to a decision unless you have enough of the data points behind it. This provides us the data points, and I think that the work that Jim's done with the community involvement is going to be so important to this rail study, and so important for the long term that that ultimately we can see this vision of getting on a train in either location, maybe getting on a train here on Friday night and in the fall and going to a little football game with another 100,000 of your closest friends. Or maybe getting on a train on Thursday or Friday in Ann Arbor and coming here for the film festival. If you're seeing a film, going home, whatever. But the future begins one step at a time, and today's a great first step. So my hat's off to James for all the legwork, Hans for the leadership to get there, and all the rest of you that in some way, shape, or form have been involved and supportive and moving all of this forward. There's one other person that I really want to thank, and that's Senator Schmidt. He and his colleagues have taken an interest in what happens on the passenger rail side. And anything that happens in the state has to have some legislative support. You know, we have balanced power. We have executive branch and legislative branch, and when the two of them are together, we get a lot done. So, Senator Schmidt, thanks for your support. And your colleagues. It's been absolutely tremendous. So, with that, Hans, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
I mentioned the number of meetings we've had. I have kind of a short attention span, so it's been challenging, but I've learned a lot about the railroad industry. And I'll tell you, going to a meeting in Owasso with the Great Lakes Central Railroad is actually really interesting and really fun, in part because Chris Bagwell, the general manager of Great Lakes Central, is a knowledgeable and fascinating person who really can help break it down in a way that you can understand, and I think he's going to do that for you now. So Great Lakes Central is the company that operates the lease on these tracks. He'll tell you about his freight business and how it's working, but it's almost 400 miles of track that he's leasing from the state. And you talk about essential partners. The fact that the railroad company is interested in this makes this possible. So we're just thrilled that Chris is up here, and I'm happy to invite him up to the stage and make a few comments on behalf of Great Lakes Central Railroad.
All right, I'm going to speak for about 30 seconds before you figure out I'm not from this state. But I'm a walker, I'm a talker, and I can explain the railroad side and the railroad aspects of what we're looking at now. And there's a couple things I want to review about Great Lakes Central Railroad. When I came here 9 years ago, we looked at Cadillac North, and our railroad runs from Ann Arbor to Petoskey. We looked at Cadillac North as something that, you know, we may could lose at. And I actually think about talking to Mr. Hefner on abandonment. Well, all of a sudden the North exploded. I'll take Cadillac, for example. 2 years ago, we had one customer there. Today, we have 7. And the freight side on shipping mass commodities and bulk commodities, that's growth. I always figured our railroad would grow from Owasso to Ann Arbor, but the railroad actually grew in the northern part. So the economic development groups that live up here and work up here and try to bring business are doing a fantastic job. When it comes to Traverse City, as I look at Traverse City, you guys are growing faster than you know. The thing about operating a 400-mile railroad is I get to see every city. You don't know how fast Traverse City is growing. It's growing out. If I could compare it to any growth pattern I'm seeing right now in the industry, it's growing about to the rate of Ann Arbor, Michigan. So, you know, kudos to the people up here in Traverse City doing what you can to keep business up here. There's a couple things you never want to do in the railroad industry. And one is follow behind the director giving the speech. Director Steidel is a fantastic man, and I sit there and I love the guy. He's one of my heroes. So getting to talk behind Kurt Steidel is that's a big accomplishment for me. And I'm the only guy wearing a tie today. I tried to call Tim Hefner at MDOT, and he did not answer my phone call, so I wouldn't wear a tie today. But you know, I'm probably going to step out because I like talking and walking. As we look at, and I'll tell you this, and by my accent, you can tell I'm not from here. I was born in the state of Mississippi, and as I moved to Michigan, there was all of a sudden MDOT Rails Division, and we kind of looked at it going, okay, what in the heck is MDOT Rails Division? Why is the state participating in railroads? It is something I have carried to all my partners in the railroad industry and try to tell them, watch what MDOT does. Because if you know anything about this rail line, this was all filed for abandonment, what, Tim, about 1977, I think? All this was supposed to be abandoned. The state of Michigan stepped in and said, you know what, we will acquire these lines. And if you look at it, if there's anybody here who transports bulk goods, as you look at it, you cannot take a company, and I'll just use Petoskey Plastics, one of our customers, and of course the name sounds familiar, Petoskey. I'll use one of our customers. You cannot be competitive in a peninsula state without the rail industry. And the state of Michigan jumped in and said, you know what, we're going to acquire railroads. And it saved not just, I don't know, probably 45 jobs just in the railroad industry itself in Cadillac, it also saved businesses. So my kudos to Director Steidel, Tim Hefner. It is a big thing, and I passed this. I gave a speech to Michigan State University the other day, their railroad college, because actually Tim was sick and I got to step in for him. What the state of Michigan does for railroads is dang near unheard of. I can count 5 states out of 50 states that contributes as much as Michigan Department of Transportation contributes to our rail. I was actually in a conference call with Michigan Department of Transportation yesterday. They are so involved on growing our state from a rail side. And the director, bless his heart, he's got highway and rail. Actually, if you guys see Kirk, actually about a year ago, he was 50 pounds heavier. So it's the stress that's involved in this job. But as you look at it, and be proud to be a Michigander. I call myself a Michigander now, and I'm trying to change my y'all to you guys as much as I can. But be proud to be in this state where we have a state entity like Michigan Department of Transportation that is so involved in the rail industry. Actually, and Tim's my right hand at Michigan Department of Transportation. He can say, Chris, I don't want to deal with it anymore. It's all yours. It's all your problem now. But he's never done that. It's constant conference calls. What can we do to grow our industry? And as a steward of the state-owned assets, you know, I love it. And I'm trying to bring business up to Northern Michigan. And I said at the beginning of my speech, Northern Michigan is exploding with business. I don't know what you guys are doing, but you're doing it right. And greatly appreciative. Back to the pasture side of things. And to echo the director's comments, we see it. It's the reason I'm here. Actually, the reason I'm here, and I'm a freight guy, but the reason I was brought here was because of pasture transportation. And we believe in it. And for a railroad to say I believe in it, that should carry a lot of clout, because at the backside of it, we're looking at this, and I've had multiple conversations with Tim and the MDOT staff. You have to believe in something to make it happen. And we do believe in a Great Lakes Central Railroad. It is the state-owned assets, and I'll support MDOT on whatever they do. When it came down to it, I'm going to bring up Jim. I met Jim, about 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 or 3.
2 or 3 years ago, and I sat in a room, and I keep bringing up Tim. Bless us. Tim, can you wave at everybody so everybody knows what I'm talking about? All right. I keep bringing up Tim, but I sat with Jim, and Tim and I have been through the gauntlet of pasture transportation. Pasture rail transportation. And I sat down with Jim and I said, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. Tim and I have been, we've been beat up and gave it all we can, and we're still giving. And what I asked Jim, I believe, and Jim, you quote me unless I'm quoting wrong, keep the fight, Jim. Keep the fight. You are about to go through the most daunting task you've ever been involved in your entire life. And I've done this for 3 different railroads in 6 different states. It is a daunting task. So what I asked, and the director said it best, you have to have, I can't just go to Kurt Style and say, hey, we got a plan, give us $50 million, we'll get this thing done. As a steward of the state-owned taxpayer money, he is the hardest son of a gun to get a penny out of, and I love him for it. So as we look at this and we try to make this happen, what we need people like Senator Wayne Schmidt over there who back rail. And as long as we keep pushing, it's going to happen. And I'll look at it, I say, is anybody here under 20 years of age? I didn't think anybody raised their hand.
I did.
All right, Director Steidel's under 20 years. All right, as we look at the future, it's not about us anymore. It's about those who will come behind us. The new generation really doesn't want a damn driver's license. Shocking. You remember we were kids, and you got that driver's license, that was your ticket to freedom. The new generation wants public transportation. And I'm not lying, you can research it, do whatever you want to, and it'll support it. If you just look at the state of Michigan, driver's license issued to 16-year-old individuals. Young kids do not want it. So as we look at it, let's not look at Chris Bagwell wanting to come up and hang out at the movie festival and get back to work in Owasso. Look at it as our future and how it works. Once again, I'm very lucky to be here today, and Traverse City is, and once again, back to your economic development side. I used to come up here once a month. I'm up here about once every 2 weeks now, if not a couple times a week. So you guys are growing, and with the state, Jim and Hans pushing all they can. Before I walk out of my position, I think I got 24 years left. Before I walk out here, I want to see pasture trains on this railroad. It's the vision. It's why I'm here. It is the long-term vision of Michigan Department of Transportation. It's the long-term vision of Great Lakes Central, and I fully support it. once again, hey, thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate it.
So I knew you'd like to hear from Chris. Isn't he fun? I hope you're not 24 years older when this happens. Maybe 5 years older might be better. Thank you, Chris. So the Bay Area Transportation Authority, BETA, is a great part of our community and a great partner of Groundworks and many of the people and organizations that are here today. We love BETA, and I want to recognize that Tom Menzel, who's had a few jobs since BETA, but has been an important leader in moving transit forward and thinking about transit in a broader, more strategic manner, is here today. So thank you for being here, Tom. It's your leadership. It's Tom's leadership a few years ago that opens these opportunities for collaboration, and I want you to know that BETA is in the center of this initiative as a transportation authority. In fact, BETA is the fiscal administrator of the federal grant. So it's not just collaboration and support, it's an active role, and we need that kind of local government involvement, and we're thrilled to partner with BETA. And here to represent BETA at this podium is Eric Lingauer, who is the acting director of BETA. Thanks for being here, Eric.
I'll keep my remarks short because it sounds like we've said a lot of all the benefits of this project, and BETA is excited to be a supporting partner of this project by securing the funding, like Hans said, through the FTA and the Michigan Department of Transportation. And we're really proud to be supporting this as we further explore the analysis of having passenger rail to the region. As you may know, BETA services both Grand Traverse and Leelanau County in this region, and we provide over 500,000 rides every year. And we're always looking for ways to connect to other forms of transit or of transportation, whether it be walking, biking, or eventually passenger rail when it comes here. And once people arrive in Traverse City, they're going to need a way to get around. So BETA will be right here to be a solution that'll help get folks to where they want to go so they can explore this region. Again, we're excited to support Groundwork, to partner with them and the Michigan Department of Transportation. We want to thank them for recognizing the importance of this project. And when a train full of passengers does pull up right here, we'll have a bus waiting right here to connect to them so that they can continue their adventure or take them to their final destination. So, thank
you. Thanks, Eric. Well, it's just building the excitement. It's really great. Thanks for being here, everybody. A couple more speakers, and then there's time for Q&A, and particularly for the media. So we had an event last year at the Commons that we call Harvest at the Commons. It's a big local food community celebration that Groundwork puts on. And that year we were honoring U.S. Senator Carl Levin for his leadership on lots of the issues that we work on as he was retiring from office. And we were lucky that Senator Gary Peters came to the party. And I had maybe met Senator Peters a little bit, and but what I learned was that Gary Peters is a huge advocate for rail transportation and for this project. His speech on this was like off the hook, excitement and leadership and commitment. And we're very fortunate to have Leah McCallum here, who is the local spokesperson liaison for Senator Peters' office here in Traverse City, a great partner and part of this initiative who's been shoulder to shoulder with us working out how we're going to move this forward, and that level of federal involvement is going to be very important to making this a reality. So help me welcome Leah McCallum.
I too will be quick, but as Hans said, Senator Peters is a huge fan of this project coming to fruition. The party last fall was one of the best gigs that either of us have ever been to. We're big fans of what Groundwork does. I actually had a chance to chat with Gary a couple days ago in preparation for this event. You all hear me, I see some of you reaching out. He used the word enthusiastic a lot. He's really enthusiastic about this project, about the jobs it's going to bring along hubs like this, the real estate housing boom it's going to bring for organizations like the one Kim Pontius leads. Everything that comes from this project happening is going to be better for Michiganders. The thing he's most excited about is for us to have options. We We don't have to take cars, we don't have to fly, we don't have to do all the things we've traditionally done. We can take a train, and I live right over there. I'm going to be a regular walking down here on this trail, getting a beer, getting on the train, expanding the arts and culture that my kids can see. So we'll go to the DIA, we'll go to a Tigers game, we're going to visit Ann Arbor, and we'll be able to do it because of what we're doing here today. So the senator's sorry he couldn't be here, but congratulates you, and we're just excited to help with this project and move it forward. And Jim, let me know what other letters you need and things we can do. Congratulations.
Okay, so one of the big beneficiaries of this project is going to be the city of Traverse City in our region. And I am thrilled about the direction of leadership and governance in our community here. We have lots of city of Traverse City representatives here. Commissioner Werner's here. The planning director, Russ Sawyering, is here. Marty Colburn is here. Right, we're getting there. The mayor gets a special introduction. Matching funds, as the director described, crucial to making this happen. But there's also a sense of what's possible that's developing in our community. We're moving forward, we're confronting challenges, we're making our community better, and our city commission, our city staff, and our mayor are leading that dialogue. It's a tough dialogue sometimes, but they're certainly taking it on and looking towards the future. And when this issue comes up in the city, among people in the community and our elected and city staff, there's nothing but commitment and support. And that means everything to us. We have to have the support of our hometown elected officials. And our mayor, Jim Carruthers, is right at the center of that. So please help me welcome, at a busy time of year where I'm sure you have lots of events going on, Mayor Jim Carruthers.
Thank you, Hans. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Groundworks, for pulling this study all together. And thank you to all of our partners here today. Welcome to Traverse City. You all know how beautiful it is. Look at it. This has been an important project for a lot of people, important to the city to support this, as this rail line has been sort of a part of our history and part of our lifeblood. I tell people that my grandparents first came here in the 30s by train. That's how they used to come up here to vacation. My grandmother also used to speak of dirt roads between here and Grand Rapids. We came from Ohio, so the trip up here wasn't that easy, but they knew how wonderful it was many, many years ago to make that trip. So hopefully we can make this study work and get all the information we need and start promoting the idea of bringing passenger rail back to Traverse City, because it was once here and thriving, and that's how most people got around our country. This line also represents great opportunity for economic development for Traverse City. As you know, most people in this community know that Traverse City is a very booming area. This line will help make it a better area, make it easier for people to get here, move goods and services here. It's very limited at this point. So Traverse City is on board and willing to work on this study. So again, I'll be brief. I also want to acknowledge Lon Johnson. He's here today. He is running for our first congressional seat. He's also championing this project, making it part of his platform. So remember that when you go to the polls in August and again in November. So thank you all, and the city's proud to be part of this project, and we look forward to working this out over the years and seeing about making alternatives to transportation to and from Traverse City a lot better with more options. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Mayor. When we started raising awareness about this, we got a lot of media attention. I mean, tons of media attention off of one event that we had a couple years ago at the State Theater. And I don't know if it was the first phone call we received, but one of the very first came from Bill Merdeza, who is the Director of Community Services and Economic Development in Mount Pleasant. And basically the message is, when are you going to come down here and help this community connect to this project? And how can we help? And, you know, that doesn't happen too much in our line of work. You know, usually you're kind of pulling people into this. But we've seen that reaction from communities all along the corridor. Cadillac, Alma, Owasso, Howell, Brighton, Ann Arbor. Kingsley. I mean, there's just a real leaning into like, how can we make this happen? This is something our community can get behind. But I'll tell you, Mount Pleasant has really stood out. Mount Pleasant has, we've had some time down there, and with CMU there and all the new downtown revitalization activities that are happening as a result of some of Bill's work and the city leadership, I mean, this could be an absolute bullseye benefit for the city of Mount Pleasant. And we're thrilled that Bill's here today with us. He does have a tie on, but there are some other people with ties on too, so it's okay to come to Traverse City with a tie. Please help me welcome Bill Murdeza, the Director of Community Services and Economic Development for the city of Mount Pleasant.
Thank you. As Hans said, I didn't get the memo on the no tie thing either. And Chris, I'll see your tie and raise you a sport coat. We started working with Groundworks about a year and a half ago. Reached out to Jim here and had several events in the city. We had Jim come up. We did a public workshop for the community. We also met with our local Rotary group and had a conversation with them as well. Enthusiastic support from all folks that we've talked about, and there's a lot of interest in terms of seeing a passenger rail service from south to north happen, because we're right in the middle. We really like to see folks going from southern Michigan to up north and back again, so it's going to benefit us and all the communities along the line. As was mentioned before, Mount Pleasant is but one of several small communities that are along this line. You know, Alma, Clare, Cadillac, and others that were mentioned. So from an economic development standpoint, getting more tourists, more visitors, more business opportunities, traveling to and from one part of our state to another is really important, and we see a lot of benefit happening from that. Primarily in Mount Pleasant, again, being in the middle of the state, you know, we're not far from most things, but you know, we're close enough to make a difference in many things. So we see two primary benefits. One being the fact that the rail service, as it passes through town, is about a block off of our downtown. So that proximity to our downtown can have a huge economic impact and boost to our businesses, our park system, and our visitors to our community. So we see that as a real positive. And the second is, as was mentioned with higher education, with Central Michigan University being located in Mount Pleasant, two factors there. One is we have students that are looking to either go home or have their parents come up to visit, or vice versa. And that would be a great opportunity for the use of public transportation to get folks moving to and from the university in that direction. And also, we see an opportunity for CMU to use rail transit as a recruitment tool. One of the things that we've heard from our CMU partner is that it's difficult, being in the middle of the state and being a smaller community, to convince parents that are looking to have their children attend an institution of higher education that coming to Central Michigan isn't that difficult, and if they need to come and visit, or if their students need to come home, that they don't have to necessarily jump in a car. You know, we don't have an international airport in town, but hopefully we'll have rail transportation that will make that a possibility and will enhance the recruitment opportunities for CMU. So again, a win-win from all of our partners in town. We look at this as a very exciting opportunity. Finally, as I said, we're extremely supportive. We're looking forward to the results of the study. We want to see what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take, and be an active partner in moving the study forward and making rail transit between both the southern part and the northern part of the state a reality, so that we can all benefit. And finally, as was mentioned, none of this happens in a vacuum. All of us need to be partners in this, and it's the only way it's going to happen. And we're firmly committed to being a partner in that effort. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bill. 90,000 college students live within walking distance of this rail corridor. the connections between CMU and Northwestern Michigan College, our community, and Mount Pleasant, Alma, U of M, it's powerful. As the father of a daughter who's going to college in 3 weeks and another daughter who's about a year away from that, the opportunities to connect our young people through train travel is very real, very possible, and very beneficial to families like ours. Because I'm not buying my daughter a car to go to college. It's just part of the deal. I just want to say thank you to all the speakers, Director Steidel, Senator Schmidt, everyone who came out, Mayor Carruthers, all of you. This has been everything we had hoped for and more. We are thrilled about the level of collaboration and partnership. This issue is a uniting issue. This issue is one that looks forward with optimism and benefits for all involved. We're honored to be a part of the collaboration and play the coordinating role. We completely recognize it's a team effort in every way. I want to call out just one more time a couple of the players on our groundwork team that are involved. Jim Lively has been a longtime program leader, playing the role of this project, and his partner on this is Jim Brookbauer. These two guys can help follow up on all the details and next steps, and we'll keep you posted. The feasibility study will kick off this fall, and you can bet that we will keep you plugged in. It is an opportunity, a vehicle for public input. I can't emphasize how much that public input means to success. So yeah, there's a government study process going on, but it will only succeed with the support of businesses, local government, and regular people who want to make this a reality. So our role is to make sure that as the process unfolds, you have a chance to get your voice out, to get your neighbors involved, and public input will be a significant feature of this planning process. So all you got to do is send me an email or send Jim an email. We will get you on our rail email list, and you'll also be hearing about it in the public media and other places as well. Okay, so that's it. We are done. I want to thank the filling station. Todd Clipper is the owner of the filling station and just been a great asset. Feel free to stick around and support their fine business. This may be the place where you catch the train in the future. It's a big moment for the campaign and for this movement, and I hope that we can remember this day in the future as an important turning point, because for us, working on this for so long, this adds real energy and makes this even more possible. So thank you all, speakers, and all of you who came out and spent your morning with us. Go forward and enjoy summer and enjoy Traverse City.